Imagine waking up one morning feeling sharper than you have in years only, to discover weeks later that simple daily routines, even the medications meant to help you, have quietly stolen moments of clarity you'll never get back. In the gentle rhythm of senior life, it's easy to trust that what's prescribed is harmless, yet beneath the promise of relief lies a hidden current capable of eroding memory and confidence before you even realize. Let yourself be guided through stories of real people whose lives changed in the span of a few prescriptions, and learn to spot the warning signs that signal when a pill has become a threat. 1. Opioids. In recent years, researchers have uncovered alarming evidence that the very pills many seniors rely on for pain relief can quietly erode their most precious gift memory. Opioids such as oxycodone, hydrocodone, and morphine are prescribed to manage post-surgical discomfort or chronic aches. Yet when taken daily over months or years, they may come at a devastating cost. Instead of simply numbing physical pain, these powerful drugs suppress key brain functions, altering the intricate networks that support clear thinking and emotional vitality. Studies indicate that long-term opioid use can accelerate cognitive decline by up to 40%, gradually disrupting the white matter connections, linking regions responsible for memory, attention, and decision-making. For seniors like Sheila, who first accepted a prescription after knee replacement surgery, the change can be subtle at first. A misplaced key here, a forgotten appointment there before, fogginess and disorientation become undeniable. Over time, the brain adapts to constant sedation by shutting down essential communication pathways, resulting in slowed thought processes, dulled emotions, and alarming gaps in recollection. Tragically, by the time early dementia symptoms emerge, much of the damage has already taken root. It is therefore crucial for older adults and their families to recognize that while opioids may offer relief from physical distress, they carry hidden risks for mental well-being. Open conversations with healthcare providers about alternative pain management strategies and regular reassessment of opioid necessity can help safeguard cognitive resilience, allowing seniors to live with both comfort and the clarity of mind they deserve. 2. Benzodiazepines. In the tranquil hours of night, when sleep seems elusive and worries linger, benzodiazepines often appear as a comforting solution for seniors who find themselves tossing and turning. Yet what begins as a brief reprieve can subtly evolve into a hidden peril for one's mental vitality. Drugs such as diazepam, lorazepam, alprazolam, and clonazepam work by dampening overactive brain signals, providing relief from anxiety and insomnia. Over extended periods, however, this very suppression of neural activity interferes not only with restlessness, but also with the brain's capacity to form and retrieve memories. As the months pass, the brain adapts to constant chemical sedation. Communication among nerve cells weakens, and critical pathways that support attention and learning begin to atrophy. For someone like Walter, who started on a low dose of lorazepam in his later years, initial benefits were quickly overshadowed by confusion, so disorienting that gardening tools were misplaced and familiar routes forgotten. Family members often attribute such lapses to the normal process of aging, unaware that long-standing benzodiazepine use can raise the risk of cognitive decline by up to 80%. It is essential, therefore, for older adults and their caregivers to view these medications with caution, engaging in open dialogue with physicians about non-drug approaches, such as gentle exercise, relaxation techniques, and sleep hygiene practices that foster genuine rest without compromising the brain's resilience. By reevaluating the need for benzodiazepines at regular intervals, seniors can reclaim peaceful slumber while preserving the clarity and connection that make each day memorable. 3. Muscle relaxants. In the later decades of life, it is all too common to seek relief from chronic aches and stiffness through a simple prescription for muscle relaxants, believing that a few pills will ease tense muscles and restore comfort. Yet beneath their soothing promise lies a hidden cost to the mind's sharpness, especially for older adults whose brains are already adapting to the normal effects of aging. Medications such as cyclobenzaprine, carisoprodol, tizanidine, and methocarbamol act by dampening the central nervous system's activity, effectively turning down the volume on muscle spasms, but in doing so, they also dull mental alertness and slow the intricate signaling pathways that sustain clear thinking. Over time, this prolonged sedation can leave the brain accustomed to a quieter, more lethargic state, gradually eroding the circuits responsible for memory, awareness, and sound judgment. Take the case of Yvonne, who began taking a common muscle relaxant for persistent neck pain. At first, the medication relieved her discomfort, but soon her family noticed unsettling changes. She poured milk into a shoe instead of a cup, wandered into the pantry expecting to find a bathroom, and even asked if her grandson's toy dinosaur was the president. What began as occasional forgetfulness deepened into persistent confusion, and within 4 years, she was diagnosed with early-stage vascular dementia. Scientific studies now confirm that seniors who use muscle relaxants over extended periods face a roughly 36% higher risk of developing dementia. The brain's remarkable ability to adapt can work against us when sedative medications are taken as a daily habit, leading to a slow but steady decline in cognitive resilience. It is therefore vital for older adults and their loved ones to engage in open conversations with healthcare providers about alternative strategies such as gentle stretching, targeted physical therapy, heat and cold therapies, or mindful movement practices like Tai Chi thought can alleviate discomfort without compromising the mind's vitality. By reassessing the necessity of muscle relaxants and exploring safer, more holistic approaches to pain management, seniors can protect both their physical ease and the mental clarity that makes each day meaningful. 4. First-generation antihistamines. As many older adults have discovered, what seems like an innocent nightly ritual popping a familiar over-the-counter allergy pill can carry unforeseen consequences for the mind. First-generation antihistamines, such as diphenhydramine, chlorpheniramine, and promethazine, offer quick relief from sneezing, itching, or waking congestion, and they are even marketed as sleep aids for their sedative side effects. However, these drugs work by blocking acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that is absolutely vital for clear thinking, memory formation, and learning. In younger bodies, this blockade may be temporary and reversible, but in aging brains, where acetylcholine levels are already waning, long-term suppression can accelerate cognitive decline at an alarming rate. Studies suggest the risk of developing dementia may rise by more than 50% with chronic use. Consider the experience of Franklin, a 71-year-old grandfather who took a nightly antihistamine to rest beside his sleeping wife. Within a year, he began repeating questions as though he had no recollection of the answer moments before. Within 2, he was unable to navigate the familiar route to his beloved church. What began as simple forgetfulness was, in fact, a chemically induced erosion of his mental faculties. This scenario need not be inevitable. By tapping into alternative remedies, whether salines or nasal sprays for congestion, sleep hygiene routines to ease insomnia, or second-generation antihistamines that lack significant anticholinergic effect, seniors can safeguard both their comfort and their cognitive resilience. Engaging in open conversations with healthcare providers about the true risks and exploring gentler solutions can help ensure that the tranquil night's rest does not come at the expense of a sharp and vibrant mind. 5. Sleep medications. In the hope of finding relief from restless nights, many older adults turn to prescription sleep aids like zolpidem, ezopiclone, temazepam, zaloplan, and low-dose doxepin. At first, these medications appear to offer a simple solution to chronic insomnia, promising the deep sleep that seems to elude us as we age. Yet behind this promise lies a hidden cost to the brain's vital restorative processes. Slow-wave sleep, those long, deep cycles in which the brain consolidates memories, clears metabolic waste, and strengthens neural connections, is precisely what these drugs disrupt. By altering natural brainwave patterns, sleep medications may leave the mind wandering and confused upon waking, as happened with Judith, who began pacing her attic in the early morning hours and mixing up family member names only weeks after starting a nightly pill. Over months, what seemed like harmless help can accelerate neurodegeneration, dulling mental clarity and making learning new information more difficult. Research has shown that seniors who use these sleep aids several times each week face a significantly higher risk of developing dementia. The good news is that the brain retains remarkable plasticity, especially when interventions occur early. By talking with healthcare providers about tapering off these medications and embracing gentle, non-drug approaches such as consistent bedtime routines, calming evening rituals, relaxation exercises, and sleep hygiene practice, older adults can protect both their nights of rest and the long-term health of their precious memories. 6. Statins. In the years following his routine checkup, Hank felt reassured when his doctor prescribed a high-dose statin to help manage his cholesterol. At first, he experienced the expected effects: improved lipid profiles on lab reports, and a sense of relief that he was taking proactive steps for his heart health. Yet a few months into treatment, subtle, unsettling changes began to emerge. One afternoon, Hank casually poured orange juice across his neatly made bed, as if the soft cotton sheets were a morning tabletop. The bright liquid pooled between the creases while he stared in confusion, wondering why his quilt had accumulated condensation. He also developed the peculiar habit of calling his wife by a name that sounded familiar but just wouldn't quite fit, prompting gentle corrections that he struggled to accept. The most disconcerting moment came in the dead of night, when Hank shuffled down the hallway in pajamas, eyes wide and voice trembling, as he insisted the staircase was melting underfoot, sliding away with every step. When these incidents multiplied, his family finally urged him to seek a cognitive evaluation, and at age 74, Hank received a diagnosis of early-stage dementia. Retrospective analysis of his medical history revealed a troubling link that scientists around the world are now scrutinizing. Long-term, high-dose statin therapy may increase seniors' risk of memory impairment and confusion by nearly 60%. Statins work by inhibiting the liver's cholesterol production, but they also reduce levels of coenzyme Q10, a critical nutrient that fuels the energy needs of brain cells. Cholesterol itself is not merely a cardiovascular villain. Within the brain, it helps maintain the structural integrity of neuronal membranes and supports the growth of synaptic connections that underlie learning and memory. When cholesterol levels dip too low and coenzyme Q10 is depleted, neurons may struggle to generate the energy required for clear thinking, leading to gaps in recall, difficulty focusing, and emotional disturbances such as irritability or apathy. For seniors whose neurons are often already facing the cumulative effects of aging, this biochemical shift can be especially devastating, accelerating cognitive decline in ways that may feel indistinguishable from Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. Yet the story need not end in despair. By engaging in open dialogue with healthcare providers about the necessity and dosage of statin therapy, older adults and their families can explore tailored approaches that balance cardiovascular protection with brain health. Strategies such as periodic cholesterol reevaluation, CoQ10 supplementation under medical supervision, or lifestyle interventions like a Mediterranean-style diet rich in healthy fats and gentle aerobic exercise may allow seniors to reap the heart-saving benefits of cholesterol management while preserving the mental clarity makes each day rich with meaning. Ultimately, informed vigilance and collaborative decision-making can help ensure that the medications intended to protect life do not inadvertently erode the mind's precious legacy of memories. 7. Proton pump inhibitors. In our efforts to manage the discomfort of chronic heartburn or persistent acid reflux, many older adults have come to rely on proton pump inhibitors such as omeprazole, esomeprazole, and pantoprazole, believing them to be harmless allies in the fight against stomach acidity. Yet emerging research and real-life experiences reveal that when these medications become a daily habit rather than a short-term remedy, they may quietly undermine the very essence of our mental well-being. Consider the story of Mabel, a 74-year-old grandmother who began taking omeprazole to ease her ongoing gastric irritation. Initially, she noticed relief from the burning sensation that had plagued her for years, and life felt more comfortable. However, after a few months, subtle changes began to surface. Meals no longer tasted quite right. Bread had a metallic tang. Even simple toast tasted of rust yet. Her complaints were dismissed as age-related changes in taste perception. More troubling were the lapses in memory. Familiar objects were misplaced, and one afternoon she insisted the kitchen sink was the bathroom, expressing genuine alarm at the sight of its chrome basin. When her daughter urged a medical evaluation, Mabel received the heartbreaking diagnosis of early-stage dementia just 3 years after she first turned to her stomach medicine. Scientists have since confirmed that long-term use of proton pump inhibitors can raise the risk of dementia by around 44%. The mechanisms underlying this increase are multifaceted. By dramatically reducing stomach acid, PPIs interfere with the body's ability to absorb vitamin B1, a nutrient essential for maintaining myelin sheaths around neurons and supporting neurotransmitter synthesis. Without adequate B1, nerve cells struggle to conduct signals efficiently, leading to subtle but progressively worsening difficulties in memory formation and executive function. Moreover, altering the acidic environment of the gut can disrupt the delicate balance of our microbiome ethos, trillions of bacteria that communicate with the brain through chemical messengers and immune pathways. An imbalance in gut flora can heighten systemic inflammation, another recognized contributor to neural degeneration and cognitive decline. What makes these findings particularly concerning is that proton pump inhibitors are often prescribed far beyond their originally intended short-term window, sometimes for months or years without reevaluation, even in patients already exhibiting mild memory troubles. Yet the brain's remarkable resilience means that early action can still make a difference. Seniors and their families should feel empowered to discuss alternative approaches with their healthcare providers. Modest dietary changes to reduce reflux triggers, mindful eating practices, elevation of the head during sleep, or even limited courses of antacids or H2's blockers when appropriate. By revisiting the necessity and duration of PPI therapy, monitoring vitamin B1 levels, and fostering a healthy gut through probiotics or fermented foods, older adults can continue to find relief from digestive discomfort without inadvertently sacrificing the clarity of their thoughts and the richness of their memories. Ultimately, safeguarding our cognitive health requires a balance between physical comfort and mental sharpness, ensuring that the treatments intended to heal do not, in time, lead to harm. 8. Antipsychotics. In the delicate tapestry of the aging mind, antipsychotic medications can act like a slow, uninvited unraveling of the very threads that hold memory and judgment together. Drugs such as risperidone, quetiapine, olanzapine, ziprasidone, haloperidol, and other typical or atypical antipsychotics are sometimes prescribed to calm agitation, ease persistent anxiety, or help seniors sleep more soundly. Yet what begins as an effort to restore peace can stealthily accelerate the erosion of mental clarity. These medications work primarily by blocking dopamine receptors, a mechanism that can be helpful in managing psychotic symptoms or severe restlessness. But in older brains, it can carry a heavy price. Dopamine is not only the brain's reward messenger, it also plays an essential role in learning, motivation, and the smooth coordination of thoughts and actions. When dopamine pathways are chronically suppressed, neural circuits that once fired in harmony begin to falter, leading to disorientation, memory lapses, and emotional flattening that closely mimic the early stages of dementia. Consider the experience of Leonard, a gentle 71-year-old man whose occasional nighttime restlessness after losing his lifelong companion was first managed with low-dose quetiapine. Initially, he slept more deeply, and his family breathed a sigh of relief. Yet within months, small but troubling changes appeared. He stirred his tea with a house key as though it were a spoon, poured maple syrup onto plain rice, and became convinced that the characters in his favorite evening newscast were speaking directly to him. Despite these alarming signs, the tranquilizing effects of the medication seemed to mask the full extent of his confusion. By the time Leonard underwent a comprehensive cognitive assessment, his symptoms had intensified into early-stage dementia. Retrospective studies have since linked prolonged antipsychotic use in seniors to measurable brain volume loss in regions critical for memory formation and executive function, reinforcing the unfortunate irony that drugs intended to manage mental distress can hasten the very decline they were meant to mitigate. This realization does not mean that antipsychotics should be universally abandoned. There are certainly cases in which the benefits outweigh the risks, but it does demand thoughtful vigilance. Families and seniors alike must feel empowered to engage in candid conversations with their healthcare providers about the necessity, dosage, and duration of any antipsychotic prescription. Whenever possible, non-pharmacological approaches, such as structured routines, gentle social engagement, cognitive stimulation activities, and environmental modifications to reduce agitation, should be prioritized as the first line of defense. If medication is deemed essential, it should be prescribed at the lowest effective dose, with regular reviews to assess both its calming effects and any emerging cognitive side effects. By adopting a balanced, personalized strategy, older adults can preserve both emotional well-being and the precious vitality of their minds. Recognizing that each pill carries not only the promise of relief, but also the potential for harm, is the first step toward crafting a care plan that honors the dignity, independence, and mental acuity that every senior deserves. 9. Tricyclic antidepressants. In many later life chapters, finding relief from persistent nerve pain, chronic insomnia, or lingering sadness may lead seniors like Delia to a prescription for tricyclic antidepressants, a class of medications that includes amitriptyline, imipramine, nortriptyline, and their kin. Initially celebrated for their capacity to lift mood or soothe neuropathic discomfort, these drugs achieve their effects by blocking the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, a chemical messenger whose presence is vital for attention, learning, and memory formation. While this anticholinergic action can dull distressing sensations or ease restless nights, it also casts a long, silent shadow over cognitive health. In an aging brain, where acetylcholine levels are already waning as part of the natural process of growing older, further suppression can accelerate neuron atrophy, disrupt communication pathways between critical brain regions, and ultimately pave a faster route toward confusion and forgetfulness. Delia, who began taking a low dose of amitriptyline to manage her chronic back pain, found herself gradually misplacing everyday objects, washing clothes with shampoo instead of detergent. Mistaking her walking cane for a television remote symptoms her family initially chalked up to just old age. Yet over the course of 4 years, what had begun as mild lapses morphed into alarming episodes of disorientation, and she was eventually diagnosed with dementia. Retrospective studies reinforce that long-term use of tricyclic antidepressants in seniors is associated with a significantly higher incidence of cognitive decline, particularly when combined with other medications that carry anticholinergic properties. Importantly, the damage wrought by these drugs may not be fully reversible once it has taken hold. Stopping the medication can sometimes yield modest improvements in mental clarity, but often cannot undo the deeper structural changes in neural tissue. This reality underscores the necessity for open, compassionate conversations between older adults, their families, and healthcare providers about the true costs and benefits of tricyclic therapy. In many cases, alternatives exist, whether that means exploring newer antidepressants with a lower anticholinergic burden, integrating non-pharmacological interventions such as mindfulness-based stress reduction, gentle exercise programs tailored to strength and balance, or adjunctive treatments like cognitive behavioral therapy and physical rehabilitation for pain. By embracing a holistic, personalized approach to emotional and physical well-being, seniors can strive to preserve not only their comfort but also the integrity of their memories and the independence that makes each day richer and more fulfilling. As this journey unfolds, You'll gain practical steps to protect your mind without sacrificing comfort. I invite you to stay with me as we uncover not only the medications to question, but also the conversations to start and the alternatives that can preserve both your health and independence. By the end of this video, you'll feel empowered to ask the right questions, advocate for safer choices, and hold on to the sharpness of mind that makes every day richer. Let's begin.